with bitches, can't fuck with these bitches. Girl, I know just who you are. Hold up. We ain't gotta rush in the shit, cause being in love is too hard. Hold up. I'm tired of all these flashing lights, but we should just fuck in the dark. Once you let me in it, I'ma get the switch and
So I became one.
Alright, peace. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Yeah. So it's been brought to my attention, this came across my desk a couple of hours ago, in which, I mean, how far does the rabbit hole go with the attack on masculinity, especially with trying to neutralize men into being more fluid? You know something, it reminds me of my studies when I was back in college, where they had a lot of these like Greek stories where they used to say, some of these gods would castrate themselves and, seduce fellow men after they castrated themselves to appear more feminine and stuff like that. So, basically what I'm talking about today is the whole entire incel issue, in which the incel issue is now has formed into, these young men blaming themselves and saying that they can't get women, now to the point that they want to become women in order to feel or, look more attractive and get the attention they didn't have when they were just an incel young man. So apparently there is some type of incel manifesto. I don't even, I just recently see it, and we're going to go over it in this video. It's a 73-page study, essay or whatever you want to call it, why it would actually be more beneficial for incels to transition into women in order to get more of the attention and be able to, attract more of a mate. Now to the point that they are trying to say that it would be easier for them to be quote unquote transmaxxing to attract a woman because they are a woman. So that what they're looking to do is become more like a lesbian. But at the same time, these transmaxers, from being femboys to whatever else you want to call it, they are also trying to say it's okay if you dabble in that fluidity and that you become attracted to fellow man. So, we do have a real serious problem in this society because, the whole entire thing with incels, it goes to the lengths of feeling that if they can't get validated by a woman, they haven't made it in life. And so, the fault of PUAs, a lot of these men out here who say you got to do all this, you got to do all that to attract a woman. I don't particularly believe in that, but there's a lot of things that I've seen, recently where it's just like, it's more than just not being able to attract a woman these days. It's also having to do with perversing men, because like I've told people ever since I started this YouTube page, the attack is on mainly men. The attack is not really on women. Of course, when it comes to women, masculizing them, however you say the word, or you decide to get the women in the workforce for the last 60 to 70 years. So now they discard men because they don't need men. They don't have to look at a man besides being disposable, and especially not worthy when it comes to resources, because they provide the resources for themselves. And so they could work to the best of their ability and not require a man to be there and make all the money they want in the world. And they don't need a man. So this is where things have became really out of hand. I'm going to show you this other thing that I had seen to basically give you a synopsis or something that I've been reading for the last couple of hours, a couple of videos that I've seen other YouTubers make. And I decided to give my thought process into this as well. So one of it, this is from Reddit, and this is where you see the community right now. It says Transmaxxing, community for people improving their lives by transitioning from male to female. Transition Positive Network, r Transmaxxing, Ventology.com, and this is the Discord, cross dreaming. So this is where it says, when staying male isn't worth it, a lot of males will live lives where they are never able to actually have a family, and the sex they get will be rare, if they get it at all, unless they outright pay for it, which isn't even legal in a lot of places. So that relates to the whole thing of paying for escorts and you know, sort of those things like that and other ventures. And word to the wise, I will be doing a couple of videos where I'm going to be exploring the next generation solutions for quote unquote incels, or men that feel like they can't get women the way that they want to. These these males would be large. Uh, these males would at large been better off having transitioned early in life when they still had a decent chance at passing as a female. The only issue here is that a male might temporarily be in a position where he cannot attract the opposite sex for meaningful relationships. Therefore, we have to instead work with probabilities, staying male, unwilling to pay prostitutes, dying without ever experiencing sex, 40%, which I don't know why I had this idea of 40-year-old virgin in my head when I just read that. Having a good sex life, 10%, dying childless, 90%, dying with one child, 6%, two children, 2%, three children, 1%, four children, 0.5%, five children, 0.25%, six children, 0.125%, and so on. Here, the expected number of children is 0.18, and his life will, in all likelihood, be miserable. Let's say he/she instead decided to bank sperm and transition. Dying without ever experienced sex, 1%, having a good sex life, 80%, dying childless, 87%, dying with one child, 8%, two children, 3%, three children, 1%, four children, 0.5%, five children, 0.25%, six children, 0.125%, and so on. So the numbers reverse if they decide to, I guess, transition and, do that, because it's given into the fact about it. Now you're going to that grayscale area where you have no problem being on this fluid type of thing as transmaxing, because not only are you trying to participate sexually with the opposite sex that you decide to be, but also you have no problem attracting a man yourself. That's the whole thing with this transmaxing thing. Here, the expected number of children will be 0.26, meaning he/she will still likely not have any children, but at least he/she will in other ways live a much better life, statistically speaking. It is worth noting that not everyone is interested in having children in the first place. Check out my last video talking about anti-natalism. And it's hard to justify pushing other people to reproduce at any cost when males aren't the limiting factor for the fertility rate in your society in the first place. Some people may decide that transitioning is the right choice for them, even if the expected number of children is less. You should stay male because there is a 2% chance of you being successful later if you don't transition. Just isn't good advice, since you have to look at the most likely outcome. Statistics and probabilities matter. Another rather obvious factor to consider is if you have a preference for one body type over the other. If you get turned on by having a masculine body, then maybe building muscles is a better path for you. But if you instead would enjoy having nice breasts, that's instead a case for injecting estrogen. There will also be mental effects from HRT, which you may or may not view as beneficial. In the end, you have to figure out what you want for your life. There is no simple formula you can use to figure out if transition would actually be beneficial. Real life is more complicated than that. And shout outs to some of the people who I've been on panels with. We have discussions about real men stuff, but the thing about it is that what I've been saying for a while is that they are trying to neutralize men into becoming more fluid in this society, therefore having men play dress up, because what it seems like to me is that you're starting to have more of these men wanting to become women than more than women wanting to become men. And so with that whole entire angle, it'll go into, obviously a lot of people say the LGBTQ community, and then into also just the idea of the future is female. all those radical like sayings that they're prepping up for when Generation A gets older and what they're already programming into Generation Z. And, a lot of these Generation Z become, so infatuated with this whole entire term of femboys. And femboys is supposed to invoke the whole entire sexual prowess of a man wanting to dress like a woman and relating it to this whole entire animated culture. I'm not sure of anything. Like, it seems like Japanese and they have a term called iwu or something like that. I have no idea what none of this stuff is, but at the same time, we must have it be noted: is there an attack on masculinity? Yes, it is, because the manly men of this society is supposed to be thrown away because we are a threat for what we stand for and what our principles are in this society. Many ways, a lot of you men that sit up there trying to go into these grayscale conversations, you are invoking that as well. So, I mean, if you even see on your screen, this is supposed to be noted as a femboy. I know you can't see the face, but they dress like women, a goth, or, dressing in these like pink dresses and stuff like that. But get on to my point. There's another thing that I want to show you, in which you can scroll this on your own time, in which they actually talk about the manifesto. And this is where it says transmaxing. Just to give you a little bit of context of what they, are advocating for out of this 73-page document. This is about transmaxing in order to have a favorable outcome of attracting a mate, in order to have a successful life, I guess, as a human being, because now we move past the idea of you being a man. Now we have to move into the type of, what is this solution for me being an incel? And so with you being able to quote unquote transmax, your probability of finding a mate or finding at least a sexual partner upgrades, because you're getting more attention. Because inherently incels know their insecurities play out. They're being ostracized for noting themselves as incels and not being able to attract the mate. So they say, well, being a man sucks because I have it worse than women. So why don't I become a woman in order to attract more and get more eyes on me and get more attention on me? You understand? That's what I infer for why they want to advocate for transmaxing, and why they say being a male or being a man is hard. I don't think being a male or being a man is hard. I know we go over the topics where, men men have different things that they're judged and critiqued on, which would make them an unfavorable match for women in this world. But if I've always told people, you shouldn't give a damn what anybody thinks. A lot of men go over these subjects about heightism, financial stability and not having that, also personality traits and all these different things. Like, I mean, there always has to be at least one woman for every man. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your life is. There's always going to be one woman for every man. It's not that hard to date out here. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, men that wouldn't be voted as the most attractive get women and be able to have a good life. You know what I'm saying? But you can't have these conversations with incels because they don't feel the same way. You understand? So moving on to this article is talking about transmaxing, and this document is talking about transmaxing. I'm gonna read the first 2 pages, and you can look this up on your own time to get an idea of where this is coming from, what they're advocating for. So this is a document that they said, in which they say the potential benefits. So transmaxing: there are many potential benefits from transitioning from male to female. Okay. 0. Sexual excitement from having a feminine body. 1. The superiority of female aesthetics. 2. Access to the transbian dating pool. 3. Full body orgasms. 4. Multiple orgasms from penile stimulation. 5. You will feel emotions stronger and be happier on estrogen. 6. Your breasts will become sensitive. 7. Being able to attract cis lesbians if you become attractive enough. 8. Being able to attract high quality males for sex. And that right there with number 8 is obviously giving you into the fact of the matter that I thought the problem with incels is that they feel like they cannot have a meaningful relationship with women. So now they're saying that you can now attract men if you decide to be a woman. Therefore, your problem is solved because now you're gaining what? Attention from men that notice that you have breast and that you have a figure when you transition from male to female. Number 9, softer skin and less/no acne. Number 10, live longer. 11, being able to extract resources from males, which can give into a lot of the YouTube videos you'll see online. The whole entire gold digger aesthetics and all those different things. And I mean, hey, even talk about how a lot of men in particular spaces will say that when a woman is pretty and she has an avatar that shows her face and her body, that she's able to collect all these super chats and all this money from people. I mean, even nowadays, you got a lot of these female gamers that's winding up getting hundreds and thousands of dollars for just appearing on camera, playing games and being in lingerie. So that's also a factor in that. Number 12, you will no longer be driven to do dangerous and idiotic things due to testosterone. 13, stop and reverse hair loss. 14, people will treat you better if they think you are female. 15, less likely to get killed. 16, access to female spaces. Parentheses, or in closed caps, males are disgusting. 17, cheaper car insurance. So this is just to skim through a lot of the stuff that they have on there when they're talking about transitioning into male and female. This is an example of a transition. This will be noted as an incel, and now this is the finished product of Transmaxxing. If you see it right here, and getting into hormone therapy, just to show y'all real quick. And some of these Transmaxxers are YouTubers themselves. You understand? They have these videos where they're on here just to show an example. Another incel transitioning or Transmaxxing into what appears to be like a female. Now, the problem with this whole entire thing is it seems as if they're also romanticizing the toxic nature of what a lot of women nowadays say on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever, where they're looking to get something out of a man unfairly and for their own narcissistic purposes, in which now you Transmaxxing can do this exact same thing that females are doing in this society in order to win sexually, to win in your own happiness because you were not getting the same attention as a man. Stay safe out here, my men. All I have to say to you men is, there's nothing wrong with being a man. Being a man is awesome. I know this society is doing a lot for us to cater into the fluidity and for you to get out of your element as a man. But there's nothing wrong with being a man. And I think it's very important for men to understand that there's a lot of different things in this world that means more than trying to seek the validation of another human being. Be proud of yourself and be true to yourself. Give me your thoughts in the comment section, and remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.